I'm doing answering another question here, and I'm not putting this as part of the Q&A. Well, it is a Q&A type thing, but it's I've had a few people ask me now, and I didn't want to put it in the regular Q&A because this one's, I'm going to make it into a two-part. First part, and the question is getting into truck driving a good career choice? So I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to answer the first question, and then the second half is going to be what to expect. So all you new drivers, I hope you all watch, because this is important for all you guys thinking of getting into truck driving. So first, we've got to do a few questions here first for you guys that you have to ask yourself. You know, you want to get into trucking. Okay, well, what part of trucking do you want to get into? There are several areas in trucking. You know, getting your license can help you out in many different ways. Here in Ontario, the Class A license allows you to drive many other vehicles. It allows you to drive coaches, you know, buses, the big buses. You know, if you have your the CDL in the US, but it's Class A here, which is for tractor trailer, as long as you have the Z endorsement for air brakes, I mean, you can drive the motor coaches, you can drive dump trucks, you can drive garbage trucks, you can drive any number of combination vehicles here. So, you know, getting the Class A license isn't just for tractor trailer. I'm pretty sure in the States, same thing, you get your CDL, it allows you to drive a lot of different things. Now, the only thing it doesn't allow you to drive here in Ontario is school bus, which you have to have the B endorsement for, which I have, by the way. And doesn't allow you to drive motorcycles. But that's pretty much it. You can drive everything else. You know, ambulances to regular buses, like I said, dump trucks, cement, any kind of commercial vehicle, basically. So, you have to decide what area are you interested in getting into. There's several different areas. You have your local drivers, which do local P&D, you know, home every night, you know, but they do run a lot of hours, these guys. It's not always as easy as or pretty as it looks. I did the local P&D, and which is picks and drops, you know, delivery type company. And, you know, I was gone at 6 in the morning, or started my shift at 6, and I didn't get home till like 7 at night. So, you know, at any rate, so there's that. Then there's your, what I'd like to call regional, if you will. You pretty much stay in like a 500-mile radius of your home terminal. You might go out, stay a night out, and then come back, and then you're home a night, and then you go back out. You stay out on the road a night, and then you come back. So you're back and forth like that type thing. That's more your regional, so you're home every couple of nights type thing. Then you also have what I call a dedicated type fleet, where you could go out more, where you're pretty much running, you know, Monday to Friday, but home every weekend, which is what I do. You know, we have our dedicated customers. I go out, I leave Monday, on average Monday morning, and on average I'm home by Friday night. You know, sometimes Friday morning, Friday afternoon, sometimes Thursday, depending where I'm going. And home every weekend. So that's what I call my dedicated fleet. So if that's, you know, what you're looking for. And then you have your long haul, which is what I did a while back. You know, you're gone on average anywhere from 14 to 21 days is what they normally say. There's a lot of guys out there that are gone, you know, 2-3 months at a time. So you got to look at what you want to get into. Now, another big important factor is, let's say you want to do long haul. A lot of new guys, you can't necessarily get into the regional or home every night. You can't get, it's tougher to get some of these, you know, more local type jobs where you're, you know, home every weekend even in some cases. Sometimes you can do it. You know, if you want to get in to be home every weekend, one of these good ones, you know, for regional is like JB Hunt, Schneider, some of these bigger companies that do intermodal, so everything's, you know, within a 500, 600-mile radius. Better chance of being home every weekend, okay, or even every few nights. But anyway, to moving along here, and this is why I want to do this in two parts, because it's going to take me a while. I'm like blah 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 blah. Okay, so back to you're going to do long haul. Let's say, well, when you first start off and get your CDL, chances are your first year is going to suck, okay, because you're not going to get paid big wages, and you're going to be stuck with a trainer 9 times out of 10, unless you get absolutely super duper lucky. And, you know, you get somebody that's local that puts you in a truck, puts you out with some local guy a couple of days, and then you're on your own. Very rare, very hard to find. But on the average, you're going to go out with a trainer for a week, 2 weeks. They're going to make sure that you can drive. For those of you, who are new, already have your license or whatever. Those of you who need a little bit more training or whatever, you're going to go out maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months with a trainer. When I started, it was basically, here's the keys, this is your load, and that's where we want it delivered. This is how you cross the border. That was, 20 years ago. Nowadays, they try to emphasize a little bit more on training. A lot of guys think there's not enough training still, but sometimes I think, 3-4 months is a little ridiculous. I have a different idea of how training should be done, but that's my own opinion. Anyway, so that's what you're going to have to expect a little bit. But once you're in it, once you've gotten through your first year, and we're going to go through that in the next video and stuff like that, but once you get through your first year and you can get on with somebody, that's when you're going to start making money on your second and your third year. Okay? Your first couple years, you're not going to make a lot of money, so you have to be prepared for that. Another thing is, make sure those of you who are married talk to your spouses. Make sure they understand fully what it is you're getting into, that, you're going to be gone. So therefore, taking care of the house or the bills or maintenance issues, etc., is going to fall on their shoulders. Okay? When I'm gone, my wife pretty much has to do everything here. She has to be maintenance man, to lawnmower man, to chauffeur, you name it. So, anyway, so now to the question: is truck driving a worthwhile job? Yes. And I'll tell you why. There's a lot of guys out there you're going to hear, and there's already been some comments, it sucks, the rules, there's too many changes, things aren't like they used to be. That's the key word. Things aren't like they used to be. Well, of course they're not. And the sad part is, we as truck drivers, we're creatures of habit. We don't like change. And a good key to see a good truck driver is someone who rolls with the punches and who can change with the times. That's the big thing. You have to be able to change with the times. Now, anyone new getting into trucking now has got a huge advantage. I mean, huge advantage at making money. And the reason is, you don't know the old ways. So you're not going to be hung up on the old ways. The only thing you're going to be taught are the new ways. And that's an absolute advantage, because you're not going to know any different. So actually, you're ahead of some of us older guys, and I've caught myself doing it sometimes. I've actually gone to some of the new students that have just graduated or been out only maybe 6 months to a year, and when, with certain logbook questions sometimes, because I do very dedicated, so I'm very set on my way I do things, and every once in a while I got to do something different, and I'll go to someone who's, really new in the industry and say, hey, can I do this on my logbook, or can this be done? Because 9 times out of 10, the new guys are going to know, because it's still fresh in their memory, and they're only taught the new way. So, you guys, it's a definite advantage. Is it worthwhile? Yes, as long as you're able to hold. If you're expecting huge wages, top wages right off the bat your first year, then don't even bother. Just stay home or stay at your other job, whatever. Don't get into trucking. But if if you can persevere and get through the first year, that's when things get better. You're on your second year, third year, because really, if you look at all the pay scales for all the companies, it's the first 3 years, and you max out after 3 years. 3 to 4 years, you max out. So, and that's the disappointing part of this industry is, I've got 20 years experience, and guys with 3 years experience are making the same kind of money as me. Good for them, but it doesn't say much for seniority. But that's okay. So the only difference is the senior guys are going to get some of the more cushier jobs, if you will, a little bit quicker than what some of the newer guys will. That's one of the only advantages. That and home time or vacation time, things like that. So yes, this is excellent time to get into the industry, because the industry is now growing again. The recession is somewhat, I won't say over 100%, but trucking industry itself is growing again. So now's the time to get in, but get in with a reputable company. Decide, what kind of training you need, or if you've already gotten your license. We're going to go through that in the next video, which is, what to expect as a new driver, or, things like that. And I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on some of the stuff. But to answer the question, Absolutely yes. Don't listen to some of the old timers who say it's shitty, you know, you don't want to get in, the rules are too strict, you can't make any money, blah, 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 blah. You know, you hear these guys say, oh, I'm barely making minimum wage. I don't know about you, and I don't know about these guys, but I think their math skills really, really, really suck. Because even on my worst run, absolute worst run that we do, which means maximum hours of on-duty time because of either waiting, loading, unloading, tarping, all the worst, our absolute worst run. And I did the workout there this week, and I went from our worst run, the medium run, to the best run. I make anywhere from $18.53 an hour on our worst run to $22.50 an hour on our best run. So I don't know what these guys are talking about, okay? And I've gone back on some of my other stuff, and actually my wages are even higher in some of the stuff when I was doing dry van, when I was pushing harder, you know. But I average 9 hours a day driving, okay? Actually, it might be 8.5, because the first day out I usually never do more than 5-6 hours, and then I do about 9.5 hours a day driving time till I get to the customer. Loading and unloading days are never a full, you know, or very rarely a full 10-hour day. I never do 11 hours. Never do 11. I mean, absolute once in a blue moon I'll do an 11-hour driving day. But other than that, you know, so I don't put in a gazillion hours. You don't need to. Okay? It's not about what you do per day, and it's not about how many miles you do. It's about the total at the end of your pay period, or at the end of the year, actually. But I figured out over a 2-week period, and I'd take my miles times by what I make per mile. I had all my stops, my tarping pay, everything all together, and then the only hours you get paid for, and you guys got to think about this, is your driving time and your on-duty time. You don't get paid to be in the bunk. You don't get paid to go to and from work. I mean, really, when you're working locally, do you get paid to drive from your home to the factory? No. You get paid from the time you punch in to the time you punch out. You know, punch in at 8 in the morning, punch out at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, take off an hour for lunch, because they don't pay you for lunch most places. Okay? So think about it. You get paid for your line 3, line 4. Driving time, on-duty time. And when you add that all up at the end of the week, you know, and then do the division, you're making money. So anyways, it's work smarter, not harder. Yes, trucking is great to get into. Like I said, I'm going to do a second part to this video. For those of you who've been asking, there's been 3 or 4 of you in the last week or so that have asked me, is trucking worthwhile getting into? Yes, 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 yes. Don't listen to any old-timers that tell you otherwise, okay? I'm telling you, it is excellent to get in. We're going to go over, like I said, next video on everything from trucking schools to what to expect your first year out, okay? I've talked to some new drivers, so I've done a little bit of research to help you guys out. But, you know, this is a great time to get into it. I love this business, otherwise I'd never be here. And the thing is, trucking isn't for everyone, okay? So you got to figure out which field of trucking you want to get into. Doesn't mean you can't get into trucking. You just got to figure out what field. Go out and get your commercial license. Maybe you'll only drive dump trucks because you want to be home every night. Okay, you try the long stuff, you don't like it, you can go to short. No big deal. You're investing in yourself when you get your license. So the answer is yes. Good luck to anyone that does it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to help you out if I have the answers or direct you in the right area. All right? So, happy trucking.